Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 312, season 10, episode 3. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, Chin's up.
I gotta
Season
say,
10.
I know. I've just marked it season 10 because we've been all over the board for a while. But I gotta say, I'm so happy to have my intro back. It just feels so naturally goodness. All right. So hopefully we're live on Twitch. I don't know. It looks like it's all good. And I hope we're live, but I don't know.
Get that coding right.
You know, technology and all, it's not my strongest suit. I just kind of deal with it because I love you guys. So, all right. Last week on the bitter end, in the bitter end, Swenson back. He's bad. He's always bad.
His leadership skills.
Yes. His fine leadership skills. Basically a lesson in how not to do it. So most of our politicians nowadays should take note and and go from there. But today we're getting into chapter 3 and then we'll come back and talk about it a little bit. Chapter 3. Dexter adjusted his goggles over his face mask. He hated wearing them. They were itchy and obscured the picture as Dexter stared down the barrel of his rifle. "There they are, Johnny," he commented, pointing out a group of chained individuals being pushed along by their handlers. "Why do they have them on chains out here?" Guy wondered. "It's not like they're going anywhere." Dexter asked with a shudder both from the cold and the memory. "It was like a scene from an old movie about slavery we had to watch in grade school," Johnny whispered. "I can't remember life without slavery," Guy commented on his past experiences growing up in the central region. "We didn't last long as free men there ourselves," Dexter declared, glaring angrily at Johnny. "How was I supposed to know they would recognize us at the checkpoint?" Johnny said defensively. "The abundance of soldiers might have tipped you off," Dexter said, annoyed. "I'm sorry, Dex," Johnny admitted. "At least you didn't have to spend your whole childhood there," Guy noted. "A few months with TJ Swenson felt like a lifetime," Dexter admitted. Dexter remembered every feature of the psychopath's face, and Swenson's dark eyes haunted him. His brow furrowed in deep creases as he thought of his child being raised by that evil man. Watching the two of them, Johnny saw Dexter lose focus while Guy became distracted by the movement of the team in the distance. Johnny said quietly to Dexter, "We'll find out the truth." Dexter looked at his friend, explaining, "After growing up in Vegas and the infertilization process, I never thought I would be able to have children. Stan said it was a miracle of the human body. I wonder how many others have healed," Johnny speculated. Dexter shook his head as the next thought entered his mind, kicking himself for having thought of it as a viable possibility. "What?" Johnny wondered, watching his friend's mind work. "Swenson offered my father in exchange my mother's life for that of my child," he explained. "My mom is strong. She has gotten out of so many unlikely circumstances. She could find a way to escape. My baby can't do that. I don't even know if it was a boy or a girl." "And you don't know if it's really yours or not," Johnny reminded him. "Dexter," Guy told him softly, tapping his arm to refocus the man. "Here they come." Dexter watched a large group of refugees huddling together for warmth. They were walking out of the canyon and were now in full view. "Wait for the black shirts," Dexter advised, watching Guy getting an itchy trigger finger. Finally, a group of fighters in all black showed themselves behind the group of refugees. Dexter knew their patterns. He'd trained side by side with some of the soldiers he saw through his scope. They always send the slaves out in front. Freaking cowards, Johnny commented. Dexter understood they were trying to draw out the opportunists looking to take the slaves. Guy looked at Dexter eagerly, waiting for the signal to shoot. Not yet, Dexter whispered. Waiting patiently, Dexter let them clear the rock outcropping they were using for cover. Then, he held up his left hand while his right hand hovered over the trigger on his rifle. Giving the get-ready signal to Rob, who occupied another nearby hill, they all put their eyes to their rifle scopes. 3, 2, 1, Dexter recited clearly. Their hands squeezed the triggers in unison, and 3 of the 5 black shirts fell dead. Their blood slowly turned the white snow red as Dexter's 2 other guards, Mojo and Grimes, revealed themselves and fell upon them. Dexter's rifle clicked as he quickly reloaded and returned his eye to the scope. Watching the handlers round up their slaves into a center ring and glaring out in all directions, Dexter declared, "We've got them on the run, boys. They don't know where the shots are coming from." He scanned his rifle over towards the 2 remaining black shirts, watching Grimes break one man's neck. A couple of the handlers were readying their rifles when a bullet ripped through one of their skulls. The handler's companion had barely turned his head to assess his friend when his chest blew apart. "Nice, Johnny," Dexter whispered as he reloaded and looked down the scope again. Rob fired as another man ran forward with a rifle. As he fell to the ground, the 3 remaining handlers stepped forward and put their guns on the ground. "They're done," Guy commented. "Keep your eye on that rifle, Guy. You never know," Dexter directed, concerned for the safety of his men in the canyon with them. Mojo and Grimes approached the men cautiously, but the handlers weren't taking any chances. They held perfectly still, allowing themselves to be cuffed. "Let's go wrap this up," Dexter told his men, mounting his Clydesdale Thor. Sinking into the thick blanket, warming the horse, Dexter led his sniper team's descent down the rise they were posted up on. As he approached, Dexter watched the bodies of the people in chains quake in the cold. "It's okay. You're safe now," Dexter assured them. "Guy, bring the pack horse," he commented. "They're nearly dead on their feet." "Yes, sir," Guy responded, hustling his horse along. He pulled another animal stacked tall with blankets behind him. "Mojo, Grimes, great job, guys," Dexter congratulated his men. They smiled widely at his compliment. "Thank you, sir," Mojo replied crisply as he turned to go with Grimes to assist the refugees with their restraints. "That went well," Johnny told Dexter as they dismounted. They stayed huddled by the animals for warmth. "I was hoping this would be the exchange location," Dexter frowned. "We need more food, not more people." "We'll figure it out," Johnny assured him. "Your mom brought in a big haul the other day with Jason," Johnny said. Dexter could see his face smiling mischievously beneath the cover he wore. "Bennett was pissed about that, and I don't blame him," Dexter replied, frowning under his mask. "I can't believe my guards helped her." "Bennett accused me, like I was in on it," Dexter explained. "She and Jason were planning it for weeks," Johnny informed him, his eyes sparkling with amusement beneath his goggles. "It's not a game," Dexter scolded. "You know as well as I do how many of his men are out there, just waiting for the moment to become Swenson's champion." "Dex," Rob called to Dexter as Rob approached. "This woman says she has a message for DJ." Dexter snapped his head towards his friend Rob. The only person that knew him as DJ was TJ Swenson. "Let her through," Dexter directed to Rob. He watched the woman limping forward. She was severely beaten, with swelling and bruising in multiple stages of healing. Her nervous shuffle reminded him of the slaves at Swenson's compound, and her eyes barely dared to peek up at him through the rags she wore across her face. No one is going to hurt you anymore, Dexter assured her, trying to get her to focus on him. She slowly looked up. Dexter recognized the pain and fear that lived in her eyes. Are you DJ Swenson? She asked, assuming she was meeting TJ Swenson's son. My real name is Dexter Moore, ma'am. TJ is the only one who called me by his name, Dexter explained. I'm the son of Vince and Erica Moore, he concluded proudly. Her eyes filled with a moment of hope before the fear that haunted her returned. TJ told me to give you a message if I ever saw you. What did he say, ma'am? Dexter requested. He said to tell you that you have a brother, and he is healthy, she explained. Dexter knew immediately she wasn't talking about his brother. She was talking about Dexter's child. It's a boy, Dexter told himself, smiling slightly. His eyes welled with tears behind his goggles as the mix of emotions started to overwhelm him. Quickly directing his gaze away from everyone, Dexter hoped no one would notice. His trusted confidant, Johnny, stepped forward to finish the conversation. He knew how her words would affect Dexter. Sir, we're ready to head back to camp, and we better get a move on if we want to survive the night, Grimes urged him. Was that the whole message? Johnny asked the woman. Yes, sir, the woman responded meekly. Johnny looked up at Rob and nodded his head for him to take her back to the group. He approached Dexter, who was still hiding his eyes. You okay, brother? Johnny asked. Dexter cleared his throat before replying yes. Don't worry, Dex. We'll get him, Johnny encouraged him quietly. Come on, we gotta go, Dexter commanded, mounting Thor. Johnny stared after him, concerned as he grabbed the reins of his horse and threw his leg over the blanketed saddle. We have a camp nearby, Johnny told the refugees. We'll be safe there for the night. If you stay out here, you'll freeze to death. They returned to their small camp nearby to wait out the night. Get the horses blanketed and build the fires. They are our first priority. We can't lose any of them, Dexter directed to Rob and Guy. You two make sure these people are warm. Put the fire inside and wrap them in blankets. You heard the man. Let's get to it, Johnny told them. We'll take shifts throughout the night, making sure that the horses' fires are still burning. Dexter's team huddled in their shelter with the refugees and the handlers they captured. He stared at the fire burning in the center and watched the smoke swirl up through the pipe that diverted it out of their shelter. Sleep evaded him as the oppressive cold bore down upon them. He shivered, tightening the cords on his mummy bag. It's going to be okay, Johnny assured him as he came back into the tent from tending to the horses. My son lives in the arms of my mortal enemy, Dexter whispered. Swenson is in your head. The baby might not even be yours, Johnny told him again, trying to calm Dexter's mind. I never knew it was possible, Johnny. I can have children of my own. And now a child of mine may be on this planet, and I might never be a part of his life, Dexter fretted. We'll figure it out, Dex, Johnny reassured him. Dexter turned over, not wanting to talk about it anymore. Long into the night, he lay awake, wondering how to get his son home. As the heat slowly began to increase, Dexter dozed. For everybody that's live, I've been, for my members, you can go over and listen to the audiobook over on my podcast. Over at my website in the members only area. So changingearthseries.com and become a member. You have to be a paid member, paid supporter to get access to that area, but it is over there. You can go over there and check it out. All right, chapter 3, Chin. What'd you think?
We have a message for DJ.
Yeah, we have a message. The poor lady.
There's only one person that calls me that.
So he knows right away where the message is coming from. I like the sniper scene though. There's a cool
yeah.
video game that I play, and we always do like the countdown: 3, 2, 1. Poof. Like the simultaneous. Yeah, I love it. And then after message is received, Dexter gets all teary-eyed. He's all thrown off. You know, this is... I'm not going to lie. Dexter's in a lot of turmoil in this book, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's an age thing anyway, you know, about that, 18,
I like
the
the
17.
The banter with Johnny
Yeah.
about when they...
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought they would have recognized him?
Gee, I don't even know. Maybe when we drove up to the gate and there was soldiers everywhere.
Johnny.
Yeah. Johnny's like, well, I didn't know. Like, oh, come on, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do a bit of cold weather camping.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, I'm just not a big fan of cold weather camping.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah. I'm now the proud owner of a travel trailer.
Look at you.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling
Got a
so
heater in
awesome. It does have a heater in it. So as long as we got propane, man.
You can cold weather camp all you want. No.
That's right. As long as we got propane flowing, we're good to go.
You're good.
Yeah. So that's my idea of cold weather camping.
Yeah.
We did go out on a hiking trip one time. It was my first backpacking adventure ever. We were there way too early in the season. There was still snow in the mountains. We camped the first night, and then we were going to hike up to another lake the second day. We got like halfway there. We couldn't find the trail because of the snow. We ended up going along the lake where like the snow's melting. You're like falling through the snow onto rocks and everything. So I ended up hiding Brock in the tent, and then I put my bathing suit on and I flagged down a boater out on the lake and had him drive us home. Yeah. And Brock comes running out of the tent. Oh, that guy was not happy. He put Brock in the front and splashed him all the way back to the shore. Brock was freezing.
That's awesome.
But you know what? We were eating steak that night. So, yeah, that's, I know, I'm so bad, but I would be honest. That's my cold weather camping. I lived in California for 25 years. I mean, it was like, yeah, I don't know. You just didn't. I hardly went. Well, you know, even last year when I was at prepper camp, I'm like, what, rain? It doesn't rain during camping season. Yeah, it did. Hey, I handled it, man. Well, with some help from my friends too, but we did all right. You know, we were floating away.
That's good. Good stuff. Memories. That's what memories are made of.
Oh, seriously, it was great. So definitely had a fun time and would do it all over again in a heartbeat. And,
we are.
And thank God, yeah. Well, this time I'm gonna have my travel trailer. I
gotta figure out what I'm gonna be sleeping in.
Yeah, I'm just
seems
saying.
like I go in a different vehicle every year.
Yeah, that's true. The van was really nice because it would have sucked to have to throw a tarp over the back of Brock's truck and sleep there. But the van we just wedged in like little sardiners and did okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking a air mattress at the back of my pickup is going to be this year. An 8-foot bed has a nice ring to it when you're over 6 foot tall.
Yeah, I can imagine that. That's why our travel trailer has like the bunks, you know, and Fletcher's probably gonna be end to end on that thing, so that'll be fun. But
you have to sleep diagonal.
Yeah, but hey, you know, it's better than, you know, he could throw his tent out there. He's got his own personal tent.
Yep.
So anyway, lots of so's built in there. I found a great article over on backpacker.com, and I really don't think I could bring you this information any better than they did. And guys, backpacker.com, if you're looking for survival information, this is a great site. I think this is where we got like all our, a lot of our packing, you know, like how to make your own MREs and stuff.
Because it's already tested, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these guys are like all about weight and stuff that works and doesn't break. And
Yeah, I mean, a wealth of information if you're thinking
I
like,
go
oh,
there
I
all
might
the
have
time.
to go on foot and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I was like, why recreate the wheel? Let's just go over to
Calorie
backpacker.com.
counts, because if you're walking, if you're bugging out on foot, then
Mhm.
that whole thing about the food and the calories and the counts and packing.
Yep.
I'm always going to like hikers place websites.
Yes. Yeah, because they know. They've been through it.
Mhm.
So this one's called Cold Weather Camping Tips to Keep You Warm While You Sleep. And that's really important. So I grew up in Michigan, obviously, and I have been out in the cold before trying to sleep, and it is miserable. I mean, you need something over your head. And so these are some great tips. Some of the gear that they suggest is the closed cell foam sleeping pad. My pad actually has a Mylar reflector in it. So it will reflect your heat back at you. So I think that something quality like that, I paid good money for that.
I told you I just scored at the consignment shop. I got a backpack for like $35. No, $25, and it had $150 sleeping pad in it.
That's awesome.
That had the heat reflecting in it and everything. So I am set now.
I can't remember the company of mine.
Mine's a Big Agnes.
Okay. Yeah, mine's I can't remember. But it's really good. So those are really quality too. I'd like to receive feedback from like backpacker.com on, what they think of a setup like that. A coupler strap and a buddy. A sleeping bag with an appropriate lower limit temperature rating. So this is really important when you buy your bag. Some bags are not rated to be in cold weather. And
I
then,
finally realized that you have to have more than one sleeping bag.
well, and like wool, to take like a wool blanket is awesome, but it's heavy.
I mean, I have like a summer weight like bag and then a winter weight bag. Well, not really summer, but like a
you can put one inside the
warmer
other
bag and then a little for like a warm weather bag and a cool weather bag.
Yeah,
because that way you sleep more comfortable.
Yeah, but if you have to choose one when you leave out the door, I'd probably take the cold weather one with me.
Yeah, I'll take the one for the season and I'm leaving.
Yeah, well, I mean, what if you're out there and it's the next season, though?
Yeah. You know what else I found is the sleeping bag liners.
Oh, awesome. Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you can use that too. Like you could layer that up as another layer, pack it with.
You can get too hot and kind of undo the sleeping bag, but you still have a little bit of a.
Yeah, or you could, like I say, pack like a material or a, like pine needles, that kind of stuff in there to give you the extra layer on top of it if you needed to, if you were really hard up.
That's the survivalist trick.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
pine needles.
Yep.
Sounds like a insect sleeping with the insects.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? I'm getting a lot more insect friendly, I guess, since I moved to Texas. Because, god darn, man.
They like to eat you up.
Oh, they love to eat me. And Christian. We just get mauled. We get just destroyed by bugs. So, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Synthetic wool. Synthetic or wool base layers. So, we'll get into this later in the article. But cotton really does kill. You do not want cotton. Socks, gloves, and a technical cold weather hat.
Technical. Would it have like little flashing lights that say messages and stuff?
Yeah, or like it has like, it hooks to your internet, Wi-Fi kind of thing. There's a boop, boop. It comes up on top. Yeah, we'll find out about that. Groove wind-resistant tent stakes. Nutrient-dense snacks. Reusable straw. Oh, see, that's what they're packing in. Tent brush. Urination device for the ladies. So you have to have your behind hanging out in the cold, I guess.
I love to talk about that too. That was
okay. Bottle insulator and a stainless steel water bottle. Oh man, The picture looks like the guy's like dead, like he's in a body bag or something.
Yeah, in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So always check your weather conditions and hazards. I mean, that's great if you're going out for a hike and stuff like that. You might not have that luxury if you're on a bug out mission. So you're going to have to just do the best you can. I've watched a lot of like Little House on the Prairie and read a lot of those books where they used to like tie themselves to like certain areas and stuff so they can find their way back to like safe zones and things like that in really bad weather. So yeah, they used to like use ropes. Like if you had to go out to the barn from the house and the blizzard was getting so bad that you couldn't see, you would tie a rope to the house and then take it with you out there and then you could find your way back, right?
Yeah, I went to a college out west, and they did that. They tied ropes between the dorms and the class building.
That way, you know, because you can get lost in a blizzard. You just can't see where you're going. You get all turned around.
I like, what's that rope for?
So you don't die.
Okay.
Secure your campsite and flatten your sleeping surface. So you want to try and get away as much snow as you can. Of course, that'd be great. Unless, you know, this isn't... I've done an article before on, like, building snow caves, literally. But once it melts and freezes, snow is really hard to manipulate. Eric Larson, he said that. So, and it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true. Anybody who's been in the snow can testify to that. Yep. And he also says he creates a shallow trough for himself so he doesn't roll around. And that makes complete sense. I mean, help keep you a little bit cozier. Use what you have to your advantage, right? Brr. Just sounds cool.
I know, right?
Yeah. So there's 4 ways your body loses heat. Through evaporation. That's where you lose 85% of your heat through sweating during exercise. So I do know this one from living in Michigan. You don't want to sweat when it's cold. You need to start.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because usually you don't think about it until you're already like sweating.
Right. Yeah. My grandpa was always on me about, you know, as soon as I came in, he wouldn't let me sit inside in my jacket or whatnot, you know, and I'd be like, Grandpa, I want to warm up. You know, he's like, no. You got to get that jacket off, you know, so you cannot, because you don't want to start sweating and then have to go. It was when I was pulling trap birds for him at the gun club, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So you'd be sitting out freezing your butt off in the chair and the old men yelling at you, pull, okay, I'm pushing the button. And then you come in to get warmed up and you're not allowed to get warmed up because you got to go back out. You don't want to be sweaty.
Yep.
Radiation. Radiation causes heat to move away from the body. So 50% of your heat can be lost through radiation at temperatures lower than 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Conduction. It's the transfer of heat from physical contact. Conductors occurs at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. It's responsible for loss of body heat from sleeping on the cold ground. So it's literally pulling the heat out of your body.
Yeah.
That's why those mats are so important. And convection. It occurs when a fluid, heated fluid, travels away from a source, like hot tea. So the convection heat leaves that way. So that, as we just mentioned, that's why the insulated closed cell foam sleeping pad is so important. Yep. Got to get your body off of that ground. And
yeah, because I've slept on like an air mattress. That's a mistake.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
You freeze.
Yeah, unless it has that like Mylar reflector in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cold. And then sleeping right on the snow is just not smart at all. You'd be better off to like put logs to sleep on, you know, something that's less than cold than the snow. So they talk a little bit about sleeping pad ratings. It's really important. An R value. The R value refers to the ability of an insulated material to resist the conductive flow of heat. The higher the R value rating, the more effective the pad is at thermal insulation. So when you're out looking for your pad, that's what you're worried about if you're going to be in a cold area. Insulate your tent by reducing ambient space. So that's why, like, when you build a snow cave, you don't build it big. You build it just big enough for you to sleep in, right?
Go big or go home.
No, not in this case. Not in this case. Put your partner right next to yourself. You can hook your bags together, if you're married, like snuggle up. It's good. Think like a pack rat. Place your stuff right around you to reduce that space inside the tent. I usually keep my stuff inside my tent anyway, but it's good for keeping you warm. I'm always cold, so no wonder I do that. Create a radiant barrier by duct taping a space blanket or mylar blanket onto your tent ceiling. They're cheap and can be a lifesaver. Very interesting.
Right?
Yeah. So instead of it being so tall, you can, cut that space in half.
And it would reflect your heat back, I bet.
Yeah. That's an awesome tip.
Yep. I never thought about that one.
Body to body warming does work. It really does work. You can warm each other by snuggling up.
See, all us guys were not wrong.
What? The girls are the ones that totally like to snuggle. Come on now. You're like, you got to share the sleeping bag.
Mm-hmm.
The hot water bottle. It always works. So if you put a hot water bottle, non-insulated stainless steel, in your sleeping bag at night, it'll radiate heat like a sauna stone. And back in the day, before they had like stainless steel items, they would literally heat rocks and then put them, if they were traveling in a covered wagon or something, you would put them in the blankets, their wool blankets and things like that to help keep you warm.
Have you ever seen, I remember doing like tours of like historic places, and they had like it looked like a pan and on a long stick that they would use to put rocks or coals or whatever in to heat the beds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, what kind of pan are you talking about, Jen?
No, not the bed pan. That's later on.
Yeah. Stash your boot liners in your bag. So if your boots have boot liners, keep them inside your bag. It's coming up later in the story. It's not really a spoiler, but Erica always sleeps with her clothes and everything in her, in her covers with her, because then it's warmer. And
that's the worst. Getting up in the morning and then having to put up cold clothes.
Right? Guess who does that for real when it's cold out? Yeah. I'm like,
if
screw
you have
that.
all in your sleeping bag, then you're good. You just kind of wiggle around and then you're dressed, and when you get out,
boop, you're good. Mm-hmm. And your gloves can go right in there with you too.
Yep.
Wear the right clothes for sleeping in cold temperatures. So people say that sleeping naked will keep you warmer. It's not true. You still want to layer up. The more layers you have, the better. They don't suggest tight-fitting clothes because it restricts blood flow to your extremities.
So I have to wear my bunny one piece?
Yeah. Like from Christmas Story?
Yep.
Some people sleep really hot and you'll start sweating.
That's not good.
You don't want to sweat. Again, it's same kind of thing.
Grandpa said.
Yep. Your bag will capture the moisture even more too. You don't want to do that. Synthetic fabrics or wool. So this is really important because natural fibers like wool will keep you a lot warmer, and then synthetic fabrics as well. All I can think of is neoprene, but it's not neoprene. Polyester helps keep you warmer. I think it's, I don't know. I'm all out of it. Polyester and polypropylene. Yep. So I had it right. See? But yeah, cotton, it literally will suck up your moisture and then suck the heat away from you. And that's why in survival, we always say cotton kills. So your socks should be a natural fiber like wool or, what's the alpaca? They make the softest little socks. They're so nice. Yeah. They're expensive, but they're so nice. And you can always put a synthetic liner, like a tight sock, not too tight because obviously they don't want you to restrict the blood flow, but do the 2 layers, and that's really nice.
Helps with friction too.
Right.
Blisters.
Yep, it does. You're absolutely right. Consider warm socks, fingered gloves, and a cozy cap. So even mittens, if you're just sleeping, you can sleep in mittens. And keeping your head covered really, really helps to keep you warm when you're in the cold, when you're trying to sleep in the cold. That's why they had like night caps and things like that back in the day. And like the thing that hung off,
I could see Scrooge.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like long.
So on high wind nights, sleep in shifts. Someone's got to check the tent rigging every few hours. So we kind of experienced this at prepper camp last year. I was just praying because I know how tarps react in the wind, right? And we had the tarp set up. It was great. But when that wind started coming through, I was like, oh,
rain and the wind.
No. So yeah, the wind can take your tent out. It can take your tarps out. You need somebody to really check on that.
Take your welcome center gazebo out.
Take your welcome center gazebo out. Yep. So many people got their tents wiped out that night
tape
too.
And sticks holding that thing back together.
Man, I was so lucky that our tarps held and everything. I was literally praying though. I was like, please God, please just okay, you can send rain, but please don't take the wind. And like so many other people got wiped out, and I was like, oh, cool, thank you, appreciate that. Munch on a high-calorie midnight snack. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, Larson says, you can fuel up your engine with a high-calorie midnight snack. Go for sugars, fats, and carbohydrates. Yes.
I mean, not wolf something, right? What did he call? What was he eating?
The closer you get to bedtime. Cheese, nuts, a warm meal requiring minimal prep right before bed will give your body an added boost.
Daydreaming or something. I thought he had some wolf thing.
Oh, the wolf came to you. Spirit animal.
Little right.
Prevent spills on your dry gear. Try a reusable straw. Oh, a reusable straw. Not like reusable straw, like straw. Together. Now it makes sense.
Pre-game, she was making fun of the straw.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you're going to carry around straw? Like what, a bundle? Like a bale? What are you doing here, So now I get it. That makes way more sense. Use a straw for your water bottle, and that way you don't spill it anywhere. That makes a lot more sense.
Fucking out with a bale of straw.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about that. Remove morning frost from your tent. So water vapor often condenses on the tent's inner wall. It so does. That was one of the things we were just fighting at prepper camp. It was just dripping down from everywhere. So once that melts, it'll soak your gear. Yes, it does. So if you can brush it with a brush before it melts, then you're going to do a lot better. That's a great tip. I should have brought extra towels just for that. Don't hold your pee in at night. If nature calls in the middle of the night, don't procrastinate. This makes you colder in the long run because your body has to burn calories to keep urine warm. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Designated pee bottle.
Getting outside in the middle of the night sucks.
Oh, it so does. I feel ya. I'm like, oh, I can just hold it. But you should. I did not know that. So like you said, great tips here. And then for ladies, Modern Gear Relief, they make pee funnels. And it is suggested that you have one in your go bag for these types of situations and that. So I
like that you said practice in the shower.
I don't know. Maybe it's too personal. We used to do a lot of traveling in the car and and on the boat and stuff. And we found ways to do it without modern technology. You just gotta be really careful.
The boat's easy.
Yeah. We had a bucket, so that was the boat.
You just overboard.
No, it's too cold for that. Yeah, Michigan.
Oh, Oh, well, I was thinking
Yeah, no.
the southern way of doing it is just send the ladies overboard.
Yeah. I jumped into Lake Superior. We were out on Lake Superior one time. I had to pee so bad. I jumped into Lake Superior. It was so cold. I was like, just get me out of here. Just get me out of here. Okay. It was so cold. I forgot to go to the bathroom while I was in the water. Yeah. That cold lake is cold. Oh my gosh.
Right.
All right. Insulate your water bottle. So if you're in high altitude in extreme weather, it's a greater risk of dehydration. And that's so true. I know that from skiing in Tahoe. He uses Granite Gears air coolers, and he's got a deal. So if you go over to backpacker.com, you can get a deal. And to keep them from his water container from freezing at night. So that's a really cool tip.
You put it in your bed as long as you make sure it's sealed up.
Yeah.
Put it in
like
your,
a camel pack, maybe even, too.
Yeah.
You could sleep with it.
Just wait.
That's what Erica did in my book. Oh,
I didn't say nothing.
Yeah. Maybe we'll leave it in there. I don't know. Hint of what's to come. Protect your electronics from what?
You're dropping Easter eggs.
I know. I didn't mean to do that. It's so hard because I'm like, I wrote that book like a year ago.
It was hard when you were having me beta read, and I was trying to keep straight which
book it was.
That was hard.
Yeah, I'm writing Cole's book right now, so I'm back at the beginning, and then texting for Hollywood, and I'm all throughout the story now. It's just, I forget my podcasters haven't heard the last one. Okay, cold weather can drain the battery in your electronic devices really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So buy a sleeping bag with a little extra length for this purpose. You can put them right in your sleeping bag with you and sleep with them with your electronic devices. Don't put yourself at risk of hypothermia and frostbite. It's really bad stuff. You don't want to start losing limbs and things like that. I mean, so they have the signs and symptoms, shivering that eventually ceases as conditions worse. So when you stop shivering, that is a big problem. Yep. Poor and worsening coordination, slurred speech, confusion and impaired cognition, a thready or weak pulse, drowsiness and lethargy.
So this is all hard to self-diagnose, I bet.
I'm sure. It is. Yeah,
you gotta be.
That's why a buddy is always bad. Battle buddy. You gotta have your battle buddy.
Yep.
Slowed breathing, shallow breathing, apathy. So you gotta look out for each other. Frostbite commonly affects fingers, toes, ears, nose, chin, and cheeks. Like legitimately, you could lose parts of your body. So it's really important. One of the things I wanted to mention that I didn't when we were reading through the sleeping area, snuggling down into your bag so like your breath heats you up. They said not to do that because it can create moisture within. Yep. Mm-hmm. And to just leave a little breathing hole. Like the only
time, like a lot of like the mummy bags, you do that, like you cinch it down around your face.
Yep. Yeah. The mummy bags drive me nuts, but they are warm. I
don't like them either.
The only time that like I really make a hole like that is like if there's a fly around me. And I've had them like find like the hole, like, oh man, come on. Isn't that the worst? Like when you're trying to sleep and the fly's like on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that
anymore. So stages of frostbite. First stage of frostbite is known as frost nip. It's reversible. It won't cause severe tissue damage. It's characterized by paleness, mild tingling, and numbness of the affected areas. Intermediate stage. Second stage is called superficial frostbite, during which the skin remains soft but mild damage has occurred. Skin discoloration may be visible, and water blisters may appear after warming in the first 24 to 48 hours. And then the advanced stage of frostbite is a medical emergency. It's characterized by hardened, cold skin, loss of sensation, permanent nerve damage, and cell death. The affected skin may be blue or black. Severe cases may require amputation of the affected area. So it's really serious, guys. Get immediate help. Transport the individual to a hospital ASAP. Relocate to a warm, sheltered area. Elevate the affected area. Do not walk on affected toes or feet. Remove cold clothes. Don't massage the affected skin. Oh, that's interesting. Probably something I would have done. Give the individual a warm beverage, no alcohol. Apply sterile first aid dressing. Use the first aid dressing or cotton balls to separate the affected digits. Do not rewarm the affected area if at risk of refreezing. When safe, use body heat or warm water, not hot, to rewarm the area. Yeah, we know that. That's the worst when you are cold and you go straight into the hot water. Oof. Yeah.
Yep.
So, like I say, guys, this is a great article. Backpacker.com. Let me give you the name again. It was called Cold Weather Camping and Tips to Keep You Warm. And I really got use out of it. And I thought, I got so much use out of it. I thought it was worth just bringing to you as a ready reference for those of you out in the cold weather. Good stuff. And I really like that website, so I do not mind sharing the love at all.
Yep.
It's worth checking out. Okay, so let's go ahead. Uh-oh, I've got to find my music.
Yeah, I don't want to miss out on that music.
I know. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and get into some Changing Earth news. All right. A lot happening in our world on the Changing Earth news. We got a lot to go through. On the 31st, we had an eruption in Etna Stromboli. Now, Stromboli erupts a lot. It's not unusual for this volcano to be erupting. However, there's been some big eruptions that aren't normal. There's a wildfire in Russia, in Siberia.
Yeah.
It's at 8.9 million acres. Million acres.
That's a big fire.
That puts California to shame. But, I mean, it's severe in California right now. We're going to talk about that. But, yeah, 8.9 million acres. Do you know how much that, like, carbon emissions, I guess, are going up into the world from that, into our atmosphere from that? So we might want to pay more attention to that cold weather camping thing. Because it will be exactly the opposite of global warming. Sudan is flooding. I know they often get floods this time of year, but it's been severe. A lot of these places often get floods, but it's been some severe stuff. When you see old growth things and, buildings that have been there for, hundreds of years taking damage and things like that, it's a pretty good indicator that this is not typical. There's a little bitty tornado in Saudi Arabia. Nothing really to write home about. Poor Turkey is now flooding as well. They just had huge wildfires rip through there. And now they're flooding as well. It's not a good situation over there. And China took some heavy wind damage to a lot of their buildings. Italy, same kind of deal. They've been just in and out of issues. They were, if you remember last week, they were flooding and stuff like that. Now they're taking huge hailstorms, damaging vehicles, things like that.
That was the one with the tennis ball hail?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, like going right through cars and stuff. And Greece is now on fire as well. Some severe wildfires. Greece and Turkey side up together. I know some did jump from like Turkey over to Greece. But also new ones were started as well. And then we saw flooding in Saudi Arabia as well. So on 8/2, that's all brings us up to August 2nd. That was the 31st and the first world events. 8-2, we had coronal holes from the sun on the south, pretty minor, but the sun cycle is ramping up much faster than what was predicted. So we got eyes on that just because the Earth's magnetic shield is so low right now that we don't need a bigger sun cycle, and it's appearing that it's going to be that way. Overall wind speed over land is slowing down overall, if you can believe that. I found that fact kind of interesting, that they've been doing studies, and even though it's more intense in some areas, if you look at it on an overall level, it's actually been slower. So it's a lot more localized events, and that affects a lot of our currents, our global jet streams and things like that. Indonesia had a 6.1 earthquake on 8/2. And there was a tornado in East Russia and flooding in Iran. In California, the McFarland fire increased on August 2nd to 15,000 acres. Poor California. Rolling into 8/3, it was quiet on the sun. There was a small CME impact from another burst that had happened. Honestly, it had a greater impact than it should have had, and that's the sign of the magnetic shield weakening. There was electrical fires from it and shutdowns. Both Spirit and American Airlines had problems because of that CME impact, which shouldn't have had any effect at all. So it's kind of spooky. We don't need to see any of those for a while till we can get our...
think twice about flying, sir.
Yeah. I always do anyway. That's why I got my travel trailer. I can't go to Australia in a travel trailer, though. So, in India on August 3rd, 15 died in flooding that happened there. And off the coast of France, there was some earthquake swarms that are not normal in that area. So that was all pretty interesting as far as earth changes goes. Trinidad and Tobago, there was flash flooding there. That's off of the top of South America. And Greece hit the hottest temperature ever on record, 115 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when the fires started in Athens as well. And I believe they haven't got those under control as of yet. But I'll bring you an update. Yeah. California is in the worst drought in history. The Oroville hydroelectric dam, do you remember it was the Oroville dam? It was so full a while ago. They were having, they thought it would break. This was back when I lived there. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago. Well, now it is so empty that they had to shut down the hydroelectric power center.
I can do some maintenance on it now.
Yeah, first time since the 60s.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy to see what that lake looks like. It's just like all the boats are just like kind of parked in the middle. I don't know if they'll ever get those boats out of there. They need some rain severely. On August 4th, we had CME low activity. But they're seeing a lot of the signs that catastrophe is approaching our planet. That it's, this long-term event, it's been happening for a while since the 1800s, our pole shift and whatnot, and it's just kind of ramping up. It'd be easier to track if they had better data on what the field strength is at. They haven't updated that since 2017, so it'd be nice if they could actually update that information, but they haven't yet. So critical signs that they're seeing is lightning is surging. The amount of lightning strikes is just on the up and up. This is a critical sign. The Arctic shattered its record by 300%. And, that's where a lot of our electromagnetic energy enters our Earth. So that's kind of crazy. Also, they found 2 new forms of lightning in 1 year. So we've existed for how long? Yeah. This is
2 forms of lightning.
Yeah. And that's lightning that literally, one of them is lightning that literally is coming from the ground up now. where it used to be only from the top down. So the earth is putting off the lightning up. It's crazy stuff. It's up in the mountains and things. But 2 new forms of lightning in 1 year. And we've been studying science for how long, you know? I mean, that's kind of crazy. In Russia on 8/4, we had severe winds again. It just damaged. I cannot even begin to pronounce the name of this village, so I'm not going to. The California Dixie Fire is it's incredible. YouTube that and watch some of that footage. It is
took out that historic town.
It took out Greenville. And that went down in the matter of like an hour. I was at work that morning, and we're on high, we're monitoring the fire is really big, and talked to an agent, and he's like, yeah, Greenville's gone. And that's heartbreaking for the people up there. Mm-hmm. So on the 4th, it was at 274,000 acres. So keep that in mind. That was the 4th, 274,000 acres. On that same day, that's when the river fire broke out. Now, the river fire was only 2,700 acres. They have it 60% contained. But that was right, I had a lot of friends and family that had to be evacuated that were on high wildfire watch. Our company, personally, I think we had 3 total loss incidences in that fire. And that was started by a camper from the city who decided they didn't want to pay attention to the no burn signs. And they started a campfire, and they burned down 2,700 acres and 60 structures. So definitely worth it, right? Yeah. It's just, ugh. Anyhow, I could go a whole show on that one. Mm-hmm. Hail in Spain. These hailstorms have just been crazy. I don't even want to know what our winter's going to look like, honestly, because we had some of the biggest hail ever recorded in Texas last year. So we're just going to see how that plays out. In Kuwait, they have the largest tire graveyard in the world. They have just dug these huge holes in the sand and filled just miles with old tires, and it is on fire.
No, that's not good.
No. All of those carcinogens are also entering our atmosphere right now. And then there was this little tiny fireball in China in the sky. We've been seeing a lot more meteor activity. I haven't even been reporting on that because it's just been so commonplace lately. That also is due to the weakening shield. So August 5th, we got coronal holes coming through, just low-level geomagnetic storms. Shouldn't affect anything too bad. Yemen's flooding. Central Russia's flooding. Slovakia's seeing tornadoes. And in Alaska, there's low-level ash emissions coming off of one of the volcanoes that's off. You know how Alaska has that little tiny thing that goes out into the ocean, the little chain of islands that goes out into the ocean? Yep. One of those volcanoes is showing low-level ash emissions, and that it's indicating there's an active eruption going to happen. They've been feeling small tremors and small explosions around there. So we're going to keep our eyes on that one. Shouldn't affect too much out there, but you never know. You never know what the Earth's going to do. So 8/6, we're all the way up to the 6th. The sun was quiet. Actually, this one is from this morning, 8/8. The sun was quiet. The coronal holes were enhancing. The streams should come in tomorrow, low-level geomagnetic storms. The California wildfires are visible from the weather satellites, and there's definite signs showing that our Atlantic Ocean current is shutting down. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Day After Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's pretty. I wouldn't quite happen on that scale, but it's not a good thing. We're going to put it that way. So at last count, the river fire, like I said, was 62% contained, 2,600 acres. And the Dixie fire, now remember, when I reported on this, it was, what, the 4th? Yeah, the 4th. Mm-hmm. 274,000 acres. At last count, that fire is at 463,000 acres. It's only 21% contained, and there's really no there's no plan really on containing it. They have to wait for it to rain. You know, it's out of control. It's creating its own weather patterns. It is going to be the largest wildfire in California's history. And it seems like they're breaking that record every single year. So not good.
Well, how much more like fuel is there?
Is there? California's huge, man. It's a great big state. And there's lots of areas, you know, you have towns and things like that, but there's lots of woodland areas too. It's not just like California is all populated, you know. I mean, they have a big population, but there's lots of areas that are just miles and miles and miles of woodlands that are there. So, yeah. You would think like they're about burned out, but nope.
Right?
Yeah. Each year it just burns another forest down. So on our volcanic update, this week we have 24 active volcanoes, 18 showing minor activity, and 44 warnings. So last week we were still at 24 active. We only had 15 showing minor activity, and we had 46 warnings. So, I mean, we'll see what we do with those numbers eventually, but I just think it's interesting to keep tracking that and see, because our volcanic activity has been really, really low level for a long time. And it's had a way bigger impact on our planet in the past. We're bound eventually to see that activity uptick. I do know this week that there was 2 minor earthquakes in one of the eastern states that you in Maryland. And the boreholes at Yellowstone were screaming. So it's kind of something that a volcano does before activity takes place. So we're definitely, you know, we're always eyes on that. Well, I, you know, always keep one eye on Yellowstone. And that was interesting because that's not good. You don't want to hear a volcano screaming. So there we go. That's what's been happening. I mean, I think it's important to talk about because you don't hear about these things on the news. And there's people that would argue, well, these kinds of things happen all the time in the past. We just didn't have cameras to pick them up. And Fletcher was like, we've had cameras for a long time in a lot of places, you know. I thought that was a good rebuttal to it.
No, that we've had parchment for a long time.
Right? Yeah. So, and it's one thing to like have a year where it snows in Brazil or floods here, floods it like once in a while, and to happen like, oh, that happened this year, but they're all happening at once. That's what I find pretty darn spectacular. So we'll just keep our eyes on it. That's all we can do. Stay prepared.
Yeah.
Mother Nature is not just a rock spinning around, you know. It's changing Earth. So I wonder where I got the name for my series from.
Yeah, I have a shirt and a hat with that on.
Yeah, how will you survive? You know, and we're not going to survive with just technology. We got to have a relationship with our planet to be able to survive the changes and adapt. That's what's kept human beings alive for this long is the, adaptability. Any species of animal that gets
search.
What?
I thought Google search is what's kept us alive so long.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Nah. Any animal species that, grows into one area and becomes reliant upon it, when that changes, when the earth changes like it's bound to do, that animal dies out. So there's something to be said for diversity. Always. Alrighty. Well, that's our Changing Earth news.
Now we're all time for a cocktail after that rundown of world events.
Right? I know, but you don't hear about, I don't know. You don't hear about those kinds of things on the news anymore, really. Like when you watch world news, they just sit there and argue at each other. I don't get any benefit out of it, you know? I'm just like, why would I want to watch people arguing with each other? That's stupid. If you were going to have an educated debate on something, then that's another story. But most of the time, they're literally like name calling, and it's ridiculous.
Awful idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I tuned out a while ago. Mm-hmm. So I heard a rumor that Biden was going to make it so women could be drafted too. Did that actually go through? Did you hear anything about that?
I haven't heard it. Okay. I have heard that talk, but I haven't heard anything solid yet.
Solid on it? Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that the China Sea, the South China Sea is really heating up. Mm-hmm. And that the new submarine, the new nuclear submarine that China has is ready to go. And the badge was rather interesting that they have for it. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was like the picture of the sub with like China and America and a rocket going at America. I was like,
They're just stoking it, man.
Wow, that seems really peaceful.
Yep.
You know? So hopefully everybody can keep their heads together and we can make it through this like all together. Yeah. But you never know.
I mean, we've had tensions before. Let's just, like you said, everybody can just stay level-headed and get through it.
Yeah, it would be spectacular. Because we're going to have a lot more, we have a lot more to worry about. Taking care of everyone, taking care of each other. That's the name of the game. Staying prepared. And then helping others to do that too.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story today and all the Changing Earth news. And next time that you get caught out in the cold having a camp, that you're not freezing your little patooter off because you're ready to go. You got some cool tips. And check that article out. I have found a lot of use out of it. A lot of things that I didn't know. So I guess I'm going to
hold it.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I guess I'm going to be getting up in the middle of the night and going out in the cold. Or I've got to bring my little pee-pee funnel. I don't know about all that, but yeah. Anyway, until next time, we'll just end there, right? Until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth